Martin was alone at last. Or so he thought. Not even with a whimper, but softly and gently. That was how he had slipped away, unthinkingly, absent-mindedly. In and in and in. Now he stood facing a big white wall. And it wasn't quite a wall, was it? It was everything before him and around him, towering and enveloping. He'd always imagined if it were anything, it would be blackness. But hadn't he once heard that white was every colour? Is this it? Surely not. But then, what else? He looked around a while, or at least imagined himself doing so. There was no way to tell. It was the same in every direction. And still, despite this, there it was. The external. The other. Yes, even here, he thought. Even here. And why not? After all, it had been with him the whole time, ever since colours and shapes turned into faces that were long and short and curious. Just a hair away, his mother's oval eyes and curled hair, something to tug at, something always there and always other. She was there too, in that mass all about him. Wasn't she always? How had he imagined her differently than this? Wasn't it he who had decided to put a face to this expanse, to make it seem hospitable? He could see it now though. A big white wall, nothing more. A giant cacophony, always rebounding but never finding its way back home. It had put Martin soundly to sleep at night, just as it had taken things from him, had torn life asunder and finally, taken him too. But why now? Why not nothingness? No, nothingness could be nothing for Martin. He realised that now. How could it be otherwise? A big white wall just like that white whale with firmament so broad that even steadfast Ahab couldn't comprehend. There was no denying it now. Not now the curtain had been drawn open and everyday life had ceased. Martin saw it in all its terrible glory all around. And what of Martin himself? Now the world was gone, was he not gone too? No, he was here. The big white wall had always seen to that. For what could it be without Martin? What could that broad, ever-enclosing, ever-expanding light be if not for the boy in the storm, weathering the tides always, giving the waves their due? No, the true horror, Martin realised, was that this was all he was and could ever be, a mirror for the incomprehensible and infinite sea. But vain, how vain it must be to kindle a spark and keep it at arm's length for eternity, never moving, never progressing, always reflecting. Martin was struck as if by a rod. Vanity, he had heard Kohelet say, but Martin now saw this to have a deeper meaning. And what am I? He thought. What am I? He imagined himself sitting and pondered. In the distance, beyond the white sea, he saw at first a twig and then a branch. Choice, he thought. What have I been but choice? A fierce ability to move this way or that about the waters, amidst the big white wall, forever grasping, clutching, but never reaching. Cruel these tides may be, but it is my cruelty at least. It's a cruelty for me to bear. And is not my part in this just as big as the whale's? Is it not me who is reflecting, who is shining, glimmering even? For what could being be without me? But just as quickly as Martin had stumbled across this thought, did he change his mind. Most curious of all was that he couldn't quite say why. It was as if choice had sputtered out of its own accord. The walls had enclosed around him. He could not die, however. No, the great white had better use for him. He was to sit enclosed, reflecting, drifting, always drifting, for eternity. The shark gazed upon its reflection and saw that it was good. Ending number 2. Martin kicked his legs backward and propelled himself towards the branch. As he got closer, he saw that it was encased in a blue flame, licking the air about itself, dancing with the white around it. In and out, the flame pulsed and curled. Martin didn't know whether it would hurt him, but there was nothing else for it. He reached out and wrapped his fingers around it. The branch shuddered and creaked. As the flames died, he felt something shift inside himself, letting go and opening up. As he remembered, he groaned. With a thump, and before he clocked his corporeal limbs, he felt his heels hit the ground. Reality constituted itself first under him and then slowly up. The white took on a form, first blue and then as varied as all the colours he knew before. The world reified itself in every direction. He didn't try to stop it or direct it, though he knew he could if he wished. It wasn't his place to do so, he knew that now. As things took form and splintered into objects for touch, for seeing, for strife, the vanity Martin saw was always his. To think this infinite expanse an enemy, a force against his own, that was the ultimate vanity. Now he could have a chance to try again, to keep it within himself and move along with its rolling tides. He looked up into oval eyes. Ending number 3. Martin was struck as if by a rod. Vanity, he had heard Koleth say, but Martin now saw this to have a deeper meaning. As the walls started to enclose around him, he awoke abruptly. It wasn't bright white, but dark, and in only a few seconds the claustrophobia was replaced with a dim memory of fear. The world took form around him, and he noticed first the light peeking under the door, then the ticking of the clock on the wall, and finally the soft thread of the blanket tucked over his feet, which he wriggled slightly. He thought about how late it must be, and then about how much sleep he'd still need to get to be in good shape in the morning. After this, he wondered how threads on bedsheets can be woven so closely. And before long he was picturing himself as an industrial worker in a cotton mill at the turn of the 20th century. Loud machines, oily fingers, and yes, other people too. He thought about his wife, his friends, his family, and before long he was lost, beyond himself, not in but out into the world, stretching beyond himself into that great and wonderful multitude of other centres like himself, pushing and pulling and embracing each other, together, not alone. Before long, Martin fell asleep again and dreamed nice dreams. But still today, in the quiet hours of the night, when everyone else is asleep and he is soon to follow, sometimes all this fades away from Martin and the personal starts to become impersonal once again. Though he scarcely admits it in the waking light, at night time he often remembers that expanse, pressing in, gently enclosing all around him like a fly trap, finally taking its meal after much patience. He doesn't let himself wonder for too long whether that's what's really waiting though, at the end of things. There's time for that yet, and right now it doesn't bear thinking about. Right now there's space for his mind to move out into. There's a movement to things and not a single reason to get lost inward, enclosed by the other. At least, that's what he tells himself on those nights when the walls start closing in. Sleep, he says, and tomorrow I'll be lost again, lost in the action, in the movement, in the world, in family and friends and love. He's right, of course.